Hello. Hi everyone. This is Nim Golkar. Hope you've all been having a fantastic Sunday so far. As always, I'm going to wait for a few seconds just to make sure that Facebook has kicked in and that everyone's been notified about this session. Sorry, I wasn't actually able to post any details about the topic I'm going to be discussing today because I've been super duper busy most of this weekend. In fact, as we all know, those who celebrate, it is Ganeshotsav at the moment. So for those of you who are not aware, this is a 10-day Indian festival that reveres Lord Ganesh. And hi Divya, hi Shubhangi, good afternoon. Lovely to see you all. And like I said, it's Ganeshotsav, and I have had lots and lots of people over this afternoon for lunch. And originally, I was planning on not doing this Facebook Live session this afternoon. But like I always tell the people I coach, that when you take up something, it's all about commitment. And I knew that people will be expecting Sunday chats with Nim at 4 o'clock Sydney time. So I made sure that I was in the office on time to be here with you this afternoon. So welcome everyone, and thank you so much for spending your Sunday afternoons with me. I really, really appreciate it. And like I always say, please do say hello to me so I can say hello back to you. It makes me feel a lot closer and more connected to you all. And when you say hello, also tell me where you're listening in from. So you can say hi from Sydney, hi from Brisbane, hello from Mumbai, whatever the case may be. All right, so I'm just going to wait for a little bit longer so that we have more people on board. Tell me about how your day has been so far. Yes, Divya, thank you. It's all about being on time. It's all about turning up. It's all about showing up. Sometimes when we commit to doing new things, it's easy to give ourselves excuses, and I know that this afternoon I could well have given myself an excuse and said, well, I have so many people over for lunch, and maybe I'll just miss doing this session this afternoon. But it's all about commitment, isn't it? It's all about showing up. All right, so today I'm actually going to talk about holding grudges and how to let go of grudges. And we'll also talk very briefly about how to handle someone who's been holding a grudge with you for no rhyme or reason, or at least for a reason that you're not aware of. So we're going to cover this. It's going to be a quick session today because not only did I have people over for lunch this afternoon, I'm having some more people drop in later this afternoon as well. So I've quickly popped into the office to do a very quick Sunday chats with Nim with you all, and thank you for being here. Hi Priya, good afternoon to you too. Such a wonderful spring day here in Sydney. Although I always like to say that the weather doesn't seem to have made up its mind. The minute I start celebrating the fact that it's warmer, it suddenly decides to prove me wrong and we're back into winter weather. So it's very, very unpredictable the weather-wise here in Sydney at the moment. But let's enjoy the sunshine while it lasts. All right, so I'm actually going to begin today's topic, which is how to handle grudges. I'm going to read to you a little brief couple of paragraphs from my second book, which is Unlock the Real You. You'll probably see the mirror image of this for some reason. I haven't got my settings right. So I'm going to read out a little bit of a chapter from my own book, Unlock the Real You, and the chapter is called Toss That Old Grudge Away. Hello, OS South Asia Forum. Good to see you here, Asaf. Thank you for joining us. All right, so I began that chapter with a quote by Lord Buddha, and the quote is, holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. So today we're talking about holding grudges, how to let go of grudges, and we'll also touch briefly upon how to handle people who are holding a grudge against you for no rhyme or reason. Please also, if you have any comments, you want to share any of your insights or your perspectives on this topic, or you want to ask me any questions, please do so during the live session, and I'll do my best to answer you or provide any solutions or tips in the time we have today. So I'm looking at roughly being here with you for the next, say, 15 minutes. Also, if you have any questions you would like me to explore in future, in either my tip of the day videos, which I do first thing in the morning during the week, or in my Sunday chats with Nim every Sunday, please send me an email. All questions will be read out in my session anonymously, so no need to worry on that account. The reason I share those questions is so that other people can gain value as well from the topics we explore. So if you have anything you'd like me to talk about, please send an email to info@nimgolkar.com. Yes, Divya, thank you. That is a beautiful quote that I just read out by Lord Buddha, and it always helps me put things into perspective every time I'm tempted, to even hold the slightest of grudges against anyone. Reading that quote puts everything into perspective for me. So let me read out a little bit of the chapter I had written. So it goes a bit like this, and what I'm reading for those who've just joined us is a brief couple of paragraphs from my second book, Unlock the Real You, and the title of that chapter is Toss That Old Grudge Away. By the way, has any of you ever experienced being with someone who holds grudge against other people? I'm sure we all have met someone who suddenly starts sulking with us for no rhyme or reason, and we have no clue what we have done wrong. But on the flip side, we may have also been in the position where we've held grudges against others who have done us wrong in some way, who have betrayed us in some way, and we may be finding it hard to let go. So today I'm going to try and give you some strategies to help you be kind to yourself and let go of any grudges, any bitterness that you might be holding against people who have done you some kind of wrong, either through what they've done or what they've said. And today we are going to talk about how to let go of the ghosts of your past. So let me read that little chapter from my book. One foggy winter morning, on the drive to the Blue Mountains, my friend who was driving asked me to make a call from her phone. She said, just go to contacts and look for Cheryl. As I scrolled through the names, I noticed something strange. There was an exclamation mark after certain names, Cheryl's included. What are all these exclamation marks for? I asked curiously. My friend laughed. Oh, those are the people I have some grudge against or who have annoyed me big time in the past. I could not believe my ears. What? I said. But why do you have to mark them like that in your phone? She shrugged and said, because I have a terrible memory and I forget who I'm supposed to be holding a grudge against. This way, at least when I see the exclamation mark, I start jogging my memory to remember what they did. So this is a little bit about this lady I was driving with, and she wanted to call someone, and next to that person's name in her phone was an exclamation mark. And all the people that she had an exclamation mark next to are the people she's holding a grudge against for some reason or the other. But the funny thing, or what I found funny, was that she actually could not even remember what the grudge was that she was holding. So it is almost like we keep on picking a wound that is trying to heal. When we hold grudges against people, we're actually being very, very unkind to ourselves. Let me take a pause here and request you all, as you join in, to please say hello to me. Let me know where you're listening in from which part of the world. As many of you know, I'm here in Sydney. It's a little past 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. Hi, Vandana. Lovely to see you. Thanks, Shubhangi. I'm so glad you enjoy listening. Thank you. So please do continue saying your highs and your hellos to me, and I promise to say hello back to you if it's still the live session going on. So that was a chapter from my book about people who hold grudges. Now, what are some of the reasons do you think that people might be holding grudges? Does anyone want to have a go and tell me why they think people hold grudges against others? I'll just wait for a few moments to see if any of you would like to answer that. The question is, why do you think some people hold grudges? So according to me, one of the reasons people hold grudges against other people is because they feel they have been wronged in some way. They feel as though they have been betrayed, as though their trust has been broken by someone, and that's why they start holding a grudge. And the sad thing is that some people actually go to their grave not having forgiven that other person. They go to the grave, they live and die with this grudge still held tightly within their chest. Okay, even though they can't breathe, they will still continue holding that grudge. Yes, Divya, absolutely right. In order to give back, we hold a grudge because we think we are somehow getting even with the other person, as though we're about to teach them a lesson by holding a grudge. That's a very good reason, Divya. Thank you for sharing. Yes, that is a very common reason why some people hold grudges, because they feel they're sort of taking revenge on the other person. Aparna, fantastic reason as well. You believe that it's just their insecurities that they are portraying on others. Fantastic, and I agree with that as well. It's our inner insecurities that are coming to the fore when we decide to teach other people a lesson by holding a grudge. So the effects of holding grudges is not healthy at all. The effects are absolutely unhealthy, and the only person who is suffering is us, the person who is holding the grudge. Let me see what Preeti has to say. Hi, Preeti. You have said sometimes people want to remind themselves that they were right and not the other person. Absolutely right, Preeti. We keep the memory of the wound alive. We keep the grudge alive because somehow we believe that by doing so, we are not allowing either ourselves or the other person to ever forget that they were wrong and we were right. But guess what? Tell me, who is the person who suffers the most? Is it the person who is holding the grudge, or is it the person against whom the grudge is being held? Who is the person who suffers the most? I've always believed that the person who holds the grudge suffers far more. They're doing themselves damage. Some of the effects of grudge holding are that, we're constantly in a bad mood. It affects our health. We are not able to have healthy relationships with any other new person who comes into our lives. And I think it's just stopping us from enjoying life to the fullest. Hi, Saili. Yes, Divya, absolutely right. It's the person who's holding the grudge who suffers the most. And yet, funnily enough, there are some people, like I said earlier, who will hold a grudge against someone for the rest of their lives. Now, this other person might have been someone they loved deeply at one point. This other person could have been a best friend, and somehow things went sour and bitter and it all fell apart. But nonetheless, they carry that grudge in their hearts forever. There are two kinds of people where grudge holding is concerned. One are the people who deliberately hold on to a grudge. They have absolutely no intentions of letting go, because in a warped sense, it gives them power. It makes them feel important. It makes them feel as though they were wronged. And that becomes their identity. And that is pretty dangerous. When a victim mode becomes our identity, we're really robbing ourselves of all the opportunities life has to offer us. And the second type of people are the people who genuinely want to let go of this grudge. They know that it is creating a lot of turmoil in their lives. They really, really want to let go of the grudge, but they are trapped inside that grudge. They've probably held it for so long that now, even with the best of intentions, they're not able to let go. So all those who've just joined in, please do say hello to me. The topic we are discussing today is how to let go of grudges, how to let go of the ghosts of your past. And we'll also be talking about how to handle the people who hold grudges against you. We'll briefly touch upon that as well. So we've just finished talking about why people hold grudges and what are some of the effects of grudge holding on us, on our emotional health as well as our physical health. And now that we've covered that, and let me reiterate that yes, when you hold a grudge against someone, you are probably miserable, but have you noticed that the person you're holding a grudge against is probably having the time of their life. They have put nothing aside to think about you. They're enjoying life while you're out there making yourself miserable about something that happened either in the recent past or in the long gone past, but the other person doesn't care. So the only person who is becoming miserable continuously is the person who is holding the grudge. Hi Jagmeet, you are asking when I'm coming to Brisbane. You know what? Brisbane is absolutely one of my most favorite places in the world. I love the weather, and I've been meaning to hold a workshop in Brisbane for the longest time, but there were different projects that I got busy with. So Jagmeet, I promise I will be there very, very soon, and I will post all details about the workshop on my Facebook page as well as on all other social media platforms. But it is definitely on my bucket list. It's definitely on my to-do list, and hopefully in the next few months. So stay tuned and make sure that you've liked my page so that you get updated with all workshop dates and details, etc. So how are we tracking for time? It's nearly 20 past 4 and we've got another maybe 5 or 10 minutes. So let's quickly dive into some strategies, some action steps to help you get over that grudge that has been keeping you trapped and miserable for the last few days, weeks, months, or years. Thanks, Jagmeet. Look forward to seeing you at one of my Brisbane workshops. All right, so what are some of the strategies to help you let go of the ghosts of your past, to help you get over a grudge you might have been holding against someone who was once very, very dear to you? The first step that I always like to explore is self-awareness. Many times what happens, friends, is that we may have held on to a grudge for so long, for so many weeks and months and years, that somewhere the memories have got blurred, the lines have got blurred, and we no longer remember what on earth it is that we were so upset about. All that we remember is that, yes, that person has hurt us, but because it's been so long, sometimes, you know, things get a little bit blurry and we no longer remember the details. Of course, this is only if it was a relatively sort of small misdemeanor on the part of the other person. There are some memories that are absolutely engraved in our minds and will never go because the betrayal was so big, because the betrayal was so vast. But sometimes if we are looking at sort of smaller impact misdemeanors on the part of our friends or the people we've been in relationships with, over time we forget the exact details, and all that remains is sort of the shell of the grudge, just the outer framework. So self-awareness is the first step. Remind yourself of what exactly had happened and what it is that you're so upset about. The reason I'm saying to become self-aware is unless you know what the problem is, what the real problem is, there is no way you're going to be able to surmount it or overcome it. Okay, so the first step is to actually, in a realistic sort of framework, think about what it is that you're so upset about. The second thing is forgiveness. Now, I know that this sounds very trite and it sounds almost like a platitude. When I tell people to forgive the people who have wronged them, one of the most common responses I get is, they don't deserve to be forgiven. That's what I get told when I tell people, just learn to let go and forgive the people who have wronged you. Typically, the reaction I get is, no, they don't deserve to be forgiven. And I fully understand that sentiment. It is not easy to forget, let alone forgive someone who has wronged you in the past. So the way I encourage you to think about forgiveness is do it for you, not for the other person. When you forgive the person who has wronged you, it's not about them. You are looking after your own emotional health. It is self-preservation. So friends, try and explore this option of forgiveness and sort of flip it in your mind about how you look at forgiveness. If you keep thinking, oh, that person doesn't deserve to be forgiven, you're never going to come out of that trap yourself and you'll be miserable for the rest of your life. Instead, think of forgiveness from your own perspective, that by forgiving and letting go, you are allowing yourself to move on. You are giving yourself permission to live life to the fullest. Now, another part of this strategy is to also remember that just because you've forgiven someone doesn't mean you are compelled to get back into the same relationship with that person. Just because you've forgiven someone doesn't mean you have to go back to being best friends. There are some relationships, there are some friendships that reach the end of the road. And letting go of a grudge and forgiving that person simply means that you are looking after your own emotional health. It does not mean that you have to go back and restart the journey from where you left off. They're two separate things. Of course, there are times when after forgiving the other person, people get back and reunite and can take the relationship back to where it was before they had been estranged. But often it's not even required. If it's a friend who's betrayed you and you feel that you're ready to forgive, but you're not quite ready to go back to being best friends again, that's okay too. So let's not confuse the two things. And the last strategy is to give your grudge a time frame. Okay? Give that grudge an end date. This is exactly what I said in the beginning. There are some people who go to their graves carrying that grudge with them. So rather than stay in the victim mode for the rest of your life, tell yourself that you will give this grudge maybe a few days, maybe maximum a week. Because sometimes when someone has really, really wronged us, when someone has broken our heart, when someone has betrayed our trust, it is not easy to be flippant about it. We do need to go through the grieving period. We do need to shed tears over a broken heart. We do need to grieve over a relationship that has ended, a relationship that once mattered so much to us. So we cannot be flippant about betrayals. But at the same time, we cannot go through our entire life simply being miserable because someone did something wrong to you once upon a time. Like I said, the only person who suffers is you. So give yourself a time frame. In that time frame, weep over things, cry about it, get it out of your system. But after that, get busy with doing something more productive and more positive, because the person you're holding a grudge against is probably having the time of their lives, even as you are shedding your tears. So sometimes it's very, very important. It's beneficial to give yourself a time frame for that grudge. So that was the strategies. Now, I'll quickly, before I wind up this session, I'm going to tell you about how to handle a friend who might be holding a grudge against you. Have you noticed, guys, that sometimes everything is fine and then the very next day someone stops talking to you? Someone stops answering your calls. Someone stops meeting you for coffee. And you think, what on earth have I done to deserve this treatment? Okay, so you're thoroughly confused because all was well and suddenly this friend doesn't want to have a bar of you, doesn't want to have anything to do with you. Now, the danger lies that you might come up with a scenario or answers in your mind that are far from the truth. Okay, so sometimes people analyze and overanalyze and come up with something that does not serve them at all. What has always helped me in the past is I am upfront and transparent. If I find that someone for some reason is behaving a little funnily with me, I like to be upfront and transparent. I will approach them and I will ask them, is there something wrong? Because I find that things have changed between us. Now, you may have noticed that despite you making all the effort to figure out why that other person is sulking, the other person will probably say something like, oh, no, I've just been busy, all is fine, nothing has changed, and they just brush things under the carpet. Yet you know that despite their answer, there is definitely something wrong because things are no longer the way they were. Now, how long is a piece of string? How long can you pursue someone who doesn't want to be transparent and open with you? So I suggest that if you've made every effort possible to figure out whether it's something you've done that's upset them or whether they have a crisis happening in their life because of which they're acting strange all of a sudden, if you've done your bit and they still don't want to meet you halfway, I want to remind you that every friendship is a two-way street. Both people have to make equal efforts to keep that relationship alive and to nurture that friendship. So sometimes a friendship may reach the end of the road, and if you've done your best to find out why someone is sulking, why someone is holding the grudge, and they still don't want to open up and be frank with you, then maybe it's time to ask yourself whether you really need friendships like that in your life. So guys, it is almost 4:30. Time is up. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience, for all your comments, for all your insights. Thank you so much for sharing a part of your Sunday afternoon with me. I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon. Of course, this week I will have my tip of the day videos, which are about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. I used to do it every single morning, but moving forward, I probably will be doing that twice or maximum 3 times a week. So make sure that you've subscribed to my YouTube channel, Nim Golkar. And I look forward to seeing you all next Sunday, 4 p.m. Sydney time. Thank you. Thanks, Jagmeet. Just quickly reading the comments. Priya says, I like the idea of giving time frame to grudges. Yes, absolutely. Because without time frames, we can stay in the victim mode forever. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to give anyone else so much importance that they rob us of our peace of mind. Thanks, Divya. I'm so glad you've enjoyed this session. And I'll see you all again next Sunday. Have a fun week ahead, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.